Before I get talking about WordPress and shopping carts, I want to say a little bit about what we mean by a shopping cart. So that's what this video is all about. We use that term shopping carts, but there's really three elements to them. Catalog is the first, okay? There are three C's, so to speak here. Catalog is the listing of all the products that you're going to sell. Again, it doesn't matter how many of them there are, 10, 100, 1,000, whatever it is, there's a catalog that shows your products. And I want to use a demonstration here. It's actually one of the plugins we're going to be covering later in the series here. This is called GigoShop. All right, so here is part of the catalog. There are two elements to a catalog, of course. There's the general listings, so it could be by a category, it could just be the 10 products you have, whatever it might be. We want to see all the products in that category at one time. Okay, so that's a product listings page. And we just see usually a picture, the price, the name, and then an add to cart button, for example. So then we move on from there and we want to see more detail. Let's say I'm not sure if I want to add this to my cart or not. So I look at the details on the product page itself. And here we can have lots of detail. We can have additional images, for example, very important for selling these days. And then reviews, greater descriptions, all sorts of things here. And then at that point, we can make our decision about buying. Okay, so that's the product catalog. That's part one of a shopping cart. The second part of a shopping cart is the shopping cart, the cart portion of it. And this is actually a separate area. And in many cases, as we're going to see with WordPress, this is probably the most typical thing you're going to find in a plugin is it's going to add a cart for you. You might have to take care of the catalog yourself, and checkout will be taken care of by someone else, but it's the cart that's really the main functionality. And what is the cart? Well, it's the place where you're going to put the items that you want to buy eventually. And you can see up here, this particular theme has a little mini shopping cart up top. It gives you the totals. Let's actually add something to the cart there. There you go. We have one item. It's $100 so far. Just gives us a quick indicator that we've got something in the cart. Let's go see the cart itself. When we click on this, we can actually see the details of everything in the cart. So this is clearly a very, very separate element from the catalog itself. And you can add and remove items and so forth from here. And that's the shopping cart portion. Now, our third portion is the checkout. And this is very often handled, at least the really heavy-duty part of it is handled by a third party. This requires servers that are secure. We don't want to get into having to deal with that kind of information, so we let a third party do it, like PayPal or 2Checkout or one of many, many others. So that's the checkout process. However, there's quite often a fair bit that can be done right in WordPress for that process, and you'll see that here. Here's a checkout button at the top or down here in our cart. Let's proceed to checkout. Now this is where we start to give our information. Where do we want it shipped? Who are we? How do we build this? And that sort of thing. Now in this case, with this particular shopping cart plugin, it's being done in WordPress. And this information will then get passed along in kind of the second stage of the checkout. You can see down here, there's our cart, which is kind of handy to see too. There's place order, so that's kind of step 2 of the checkout process. Here's my information, here's how I want to do things. Now I'm going to literally place the order. And depending on what we've chosen here, it may take us to a third party to process it, or if we're using check payment, it's not going to do anything at all other than say, thanks for your order, please send your check here, that sort of thing. But there's a couple of steps to this checkout process. Again, in a lot of cases, this information is going to be gathered at a third-party site. You don't even need to deal with it at all. So again, it depends on the solution that you're going to be using, but in any case, there's always going to be these three elements in the shopping cart process. Even if the catalog is 1 or 2 pages, the cart is then going to contain the elements that you want to buy, and then probably you're going to be going to a third party for your checkout, or some elements of checkout will be done on your site. But in any case, all three of these elements are always going to be present when we're talking about a shopping cart.